What's going on, traders? It's Ricky with techbud Solutions. Thank you guys again so much for joining us. If you guys are joining us for the first time, this is techbud Solutions. My name is Ricky. We go live Monday through Friday, and our group is called techbud Solutions. We're a little bit over 28,000 members worldwide. The thing that we do best is we provide supportive community for both new and experienced traders. So if you are joining us for the first time, I want to thank you guys again for taking time out of your day. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day. I'm going to give it a couple minutes because people are starting to tune in live, and the group within our group chats, they're going. My voice is so different right now. All right, so pretty much what this live stream is going to be about is I'm going to be showing my screen. I'm going to show you guys exactly what it is that I do to scan and to find stocks. I pretty much have in mind what I'm going to be trading again. And that's going to be JNUG and AMD. I called out JNUG, AMD, and JDST. They're stocks that I've been analyzing. For those that are asking, how did I actually get exposed to those opportunities? They're stocks that I've had on my watch list. The way that I actually got exposed to that opportunity was because of the techbud Solutions group. People just continue to, throw stocks out there. So as exposure, that's the whole point of networking. Once I saw that those stocks had potential months ago, I simply added them to my watch list. It doesn't mean that I had to trade them. I added them to my watch list, and then when it came down to dedicating 15 to 20 minutes every single day to identify potential, the day before the market opens, I saw that AMD and JDST and JNUG are certain companies or certain ETFs that I would like to invest in the future. So that's how I got exposed to them. I'm going to show you guys on how to scan for stocks if you guys haven't done so already, but I do have a detailed video if you guys want to learn exactly how it is that I have my scanner set up. It's more of a pre-market scanner. It takes how the market previously closed the day before, and then it tells me based on how they previously closed before, they need to be at least 4%, the price has to be about 4% more than what it previously closed at. Therefore, it filters out stocks that don't meet that criteria. I'll just show you guys. I know you guys probably don't even want to hear me talking, but overall, I'm gonna be performing some technical analysis, meaning I'm gonna be starting to identify potential in certain stocks, see if there's stocks that I'm gonna want to be trading based on the analysis that I already saw during pre-market hours. I'm most likely just gonna want to focus on AMD and JNUG. I want you guys to understand one thing, especially if I'm catching you guys at a very early age of your career as a day trader, or if you guys are joining us for the first time. You should never trade based on anyone else's opinion. You should never, you should never trade anything you do not understand. Therefore, if you can't identify potential and it just doesn't make sense to you on why you're investing your money, then don't trade it. And then the last thing is you only should trade when you can when you have a plan. So when when you're buying, selling, and cutting your losses. Every time you jump on into a stock, it's always ideal to know your like your enter, exit, and then your cut loss, just to, in a sense, being able to manage your risk. So if that doesn't necessarily make sense to you, this video might not necessarily be the starting point for you. I do have a series of helpful videos within my YouTube playlist. Feel free to go through those. I go through a series of frequently asked questions. We have over like 62 videos on just so many topics that I think that you guys can definitely utilize to get a little bit of a better understanding. So the link is provided for you down below. If you're not a part of techbud Solutions already, you simply just have to have a Facebook group, and then you guys can join our community. Thank you guys again, and let me go ahead and start sharing my screen so you guys can see what it is that I'm going to be looking at. Let's see. Man, you guys are just so hyped this morning. Rick, we're just here for the technical analysis. All right, that's straight to the point. I appreciate that. Hey, but I like it. You guys are being honest, right? So, all right. So real quick, I'm gonna do my analysis on JNUG and AMD, and then I'm gonna start scanning for stocks. So basically, the reason that I think that JNUG is on its way back up is if you do like a 20-day analysis, based on the past 20 days, based on the current support that it has, it did break the support as of yesterday. It went lows of 16.28, but then it bounced right back, and then it's kind of flatlining. It hasn't really, held very well above $17, but based on the previous trend, this is a pretty low point. If you guys see where the RSI is at, 20 seems to be a better sell point. 16 to 17 tends to be a better buy point. Does that mean 100% it's going to be a better buy? No, but based on previous trends, that's what the case comes out to be. Same with, if you do 180-day analysis. Based on previous lows, I mean, we're at a pretty low point compared to, again, its overall, history as being an ETF. And again, this is a gold-based ETF. So the reason that we know 20 is going to be the new, resistance is because it's been the resistance once, twice, 3 times, and 4 times, but it's also bounced once, twice, 3 times, and 4 times at around $16 to $17. It has gone below $16 to $17 before. Therefore, that is why it's very important to have a stop loss and to have a plan every time you buy in. But as you guys can see, we're at a pretty low point for JNUG. We just really start needing to see that sign of upward momentum. And the reason that 20 is the resistance is based on the previous resistance history right here, as well as, like we know, old supports as it used to hold above $20 become new resistance levels. So it's just based on previous trends. If that doesn't make sense to you, I made a video about supports and resistance levels. I'd encourage you guys to go ahead and check that out. So AMD. The reason that we identify potential in this one is AMD is a company that's actually partnered with Apple. They develop certain devices for them. And overall, there was a support at about $10 when it had this huge drop, and it bounced based on its old support here around $10. It's been showing signs of a consistent upward momentum, and we called out the trade. If you guys haven't ever joined us during our stock talk about last week, we called out that when it was at 1450, we called out that it's most likely going to see a huge pullback about to 12 to 1250. Yesterday was the first day that it actually saw the bounce, and now it's starting to show signs of upward momentum. Now, it really comes down to, the bounce that we saw wasn't necessarily what we expected. It's actually showing a lot of signs of downward momentum now. Understanding that, does that mean that it's going to, trend all the way down? Well, it's all about having a plan and how you manage your risk. And this is why I'm looking at AMD today. I wanted to make sure that it saw its first screen day, or saw at least a good amount of volume, that indicated that it was going to bounce. So we know that it bounced at $12.12, and now it's starting to see a downward trend. We know that the resistance is about $13, since it's not necessarily holding very well above $13. So it did go above 13, but didn't hold very well, and it's now showing the sign of a downward trend. Based on previous supports, the first support that we would most likely see is at about $12.80. Like we know, old resistance levels become new support levels. Therefore, this was a resistance, and it struggled to go above there as well. Understanding that, old resistance levels become new support levels, so we might be expecting a bounce there. If not, then about 1240 to 1250, we can see a bounce. Overall, you just want to see, all I want to see is when it actually bounces at whatever support it sets, that it actually starts to indicate signs of upward momentum, so that we see a solid, just cup from the downward trend. So what I kind of mean by that is it almost makes like this. It's a very common trend where it sees a downward trend, it bounces, and then it starts to climb back up. So you want to, every time that I buy in at a certain stock, at least a majority of the time, I like to wait for that sign of upward momentum, indicating that I'm actually investing in something that's appreciating in value, rather than trying to get in at the lowest point and hoping that it actually bounces. So instead of if I were to trade AMD and this is what I was looking at. Do you want to buy AMD when it's on a downward trend? Do you want to buy AMD when it's flatlining, or do you want to buy AMD when it's actually showing signs of upward momentum? For myself, I like to buy when it's showing signs of upward momentum, when I've identified the support and it's actually bouncing, and then I can identify the resistance and then sell, close or at near the resistance. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. I mean, we've talked about AMD multiple times, so I know a lot of you guys that are, in a sense, ones that tune in daily, so like we know all that, Ricky. I'm just trying to break it down. So now we're going to go to the scanner. So this is the stock term that I have set up. We're going from 90 cents to $50. Volume, that looks good. Price change, I want to do 4% or greater. I did have a couple people ask me, how did I get include extended hours? You guys have to change the time frame to either 30 minutes or more. This will allow you to include extended hours. So that's pretty much it. So let's click scan. So based on current stocks right now, this is what meets my criteria. So this is 4% greater based on previous close. So let's see. Previously closed at $24.46. It's at $26. So QVCA. Hold on a moment. Okay. Wow, okay, and this makes sense. So look, it looks like it had its support at about $18. It saw a huge, pullback, a huge downward trend, right, for quite a while. It built its support. It started going up again, downward trend, and then started to climb again. I would like to go a little bit. No, that is it. This isn't going to necessarily give me much feedback since it's just like a huge spike, so it all comes down to momentum. So it's hitting highs of 26.12. So I want to see like where the old resistance was. I mean, based on what I see, there's a resistance here at 27. So if it comes down to managing your risk, so it went above $26 right now. So it's up here. It's not showing it, but yeah, it's because it's during pre-market hours. But it is up here at $26 right now. As you guys can see, the level 2, there's the buyers here at 26, sellers here at 26.02. And there's this old resistance at $27, meaning that from 26 to 27, there's that small margin of about, what is that, 3.73%. So the potential for profit might not be worth that actual trade for it to actually, squeeze on through, 27. For those that see potential, I mean, when the market opens and if it holds above $26, then it'd be pretty easy for me to identify that, 26 is a support, 27 is a resistance, and then, buy low, sell high, and cut losses if it goes below 26. I mean, that'd be a pretty good indication as long as it continues this sign of upward momentum. Other than that, I don't necessarily think that. I think 26 is going to be more of the resistance, and the margin that it has left for profit is too small for how much it's already increased in price. So that's just my breakdown. So I'm going to move on and see if I can find something else. These stocks that were, okay, this one sees a pretty good amount of volume. This one's a 40. All right. Same thing. It's more at the resistance, and that's not necessarily something that like it's done all its play during pre-market hours. And the only thing that I would expect once the market actually opens is to see a pullback. Because I mean, this was a previous resistance, this was a previous resistance, and it's way above that. And again, this is a 1-year analysis. Therefore, I just like based on previous trends, and again, I'm more of a technical trader, so not a momentum trader. It doesn't make sense for me to continue, potentially trading this one because of it already exceeding, old resistance, and the RSI indicator is showing that it's already it's too much on the overbought side, and it's a little bit of a higher price stock. Let's actually try to focus on something that's a little bit within our, maybe like IMUC. All right, very low volume. The reason I don't like IMUC is it's one that we've talked about before within our group, and it's just one I think that gets manipulated too much. So I don't want to talk about that one just because I don't necessarily think it'd be a good stock for people to, invest in and then maybe not be able to cut losses on that one. EBR. All right. Okay, so I like this one. The reason I like this one is it had a gap all the way down, right? It had a drop based on its previous support. It dropped below $5. It caused it to go down to as low as $3.49. And now it's gapping back up. So we know that the resistance is most likely going to be where the old support was, and that's about $5. Understanding that right now it's trading about $4.70, but it's showing a lot of good signs of upward momentum and has a pretty decent amount of volume. And this is during pre-market hours, which is pretty impressive. During market open, it doesn't necessarily see the volume that we would want to see. So I'm gonna have to follow up with this one, because if it just continues to have the same amount of volume that it's had within the previous days, then it definitely wouldn't be worth it, just because These are 1 hour. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Okay. Volume is too low on that. We have about 4 minutes remaining. CYTR. Let's check that one out. We've talked about that one before. CY. Okay, 62 cents. It's hitting more of a resistance. It looks like it's actually trying to gap back up to where it used to trade at. About 62, 63. Too low of a cap stock for me. I like to focus on stocks. Why is it saying that the last was, oh, what the heck? Oh, CYTX, I apologize. That's more at the resistance. So if you guys can see, during the market open as of yesterday, that was a resistance. The support is at $1, which is a very common support for a lot of stocks, especially low cap stocks. So from 1 to 110, 10% or 11% since it went, or 12% since it went to 112. But realistically, how it looks like with CYTX, that is a previous resistance. So we might experience somewhat of a pullback. I mean, as you guys can see, the RSI indicator is a little bit more on the overbought side. It is pretty low for the actual price, but this is more like of a, I don't want to say a true penny stock, but it's more of a low cap stock that does see a good amount of, like, I don't want to say manipulation, but yeah, it's just a little bit more risky when it comes to trading these specific stocks. It looks like the overall highs within the past 20 days have been 120. Overall low is 96. So I feel like $1 is a pretty solid support. So, I mean, it should have been something that we should have been scanning for. So I'm not too sure if any of you guys were actually watching CYTX, but this would have been a good call out at $1 since it's been a very common support within the past 20 days. So being able to call the low points for a stock and then the high points simply by looking based on its history is 110. So this is like the perfect setup for like a low cap stock, you know, $1 to $1.10 or 110. So this is 10% potential. And therefore, if you buy in at like $1 or $1 and 1 cent, you would stop loss, or I would stop loss if it goes below $1, meaning I can manage my risk at about 1% when my potential profit would be about 110. So, but I just think it's more on the overbought side. I'll follow up with this one, and then I'll actually set my alert just because I find this one a little bit interesting to see if it actually breaks that resistance. Because if it breaks 112, then it can make its way back up to the 120. It's like we know once it breaks this resistance, it becomes a new support. But also if it breaks below 106, I want to make sure that I'm at least, it breaks below 105, alerted. Let's see what you guys have to say. Gabriel, it says, you're asking how many different companies do I invest in daily? I usually used to invest in about 2 to 3 different companies based on my previous all right, $1. 1 minute. Based on the history on, no, not based on history, but based on the past couple of days, because of how busy I've been with, kind of managing the group, answering questions, and kind of just the back end work. I'm actually only like day trading once or twice, so I am giving up, some of the potential. I'm sorry, there's like a little fly. Potential that I've been able to have when it comes to the market, but I feel like with what I'm able to do, if I can still lock in maybe like, $150 to $200 a day with 1 to 2 day trades, and then focus on the group and just try to answer your guys' questions. That's what I really enjoy to do. So I used to, just for those that are asking, I use the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform. That's the platform that I use to scan for stocks and analyze stocks. I used Fidelity to execute my trades. It was my first brokerage company, and they have lower commissions, and I think they are the best when it comes down to actually executing on your trades, or if you need to call them, they're the quickest response. So I love Fidelity when it comes to that. And I moved away from Robinhood just because of just a bad experience that we had with the $1,000 challenge. And then for those that are asking, how much is my average position size? I usually risk $3,000 or $3,500 per position, meaning that my account sits a little bit over $30,000, so I don't have to worry about the PDT rule. So that's in a sense a leg up that I have on top of the average traders, but that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and start focusing again on the stocks that I'm personally I'm looking for, but I'll be sure to but I'll be sure to follow up on the stocks that we were also looking at. So it looks like, 112, we called it out perfectly. That was a resistance. It's now seeing a downward trend, or 108. It might be, there's a small margin, about 3.56% if it tries to make its way back up. But realistically, it's more on the overbought side. Therefore, I want to wait for a drop. So it just went from 108 to 110. I mean, that's still about like almost 2%, but definitely not necessarily something that I want to focus on right now. JNUG, again, experiencing a pullback. Basically, what I saw during the pre-market hours, it had a support right around 1680. So it would be ideal if it could hold above that, but it doesn't look like it's actually going to. Overall support is about, based on yesterday's support, it really held pretty well above like 1650 to 1640. But since this stock or this ETF is actually going down, most likely JDST, which is the inverse ETF, is going up, as you guys can see. But it's just been basically what I've been trying to do with JNUG and JDST that I did very well. I'm not too sure if you guys actually saw when I actually went in and got out, if you guys followed my trades when it came to me posting them within the TechBud Solutions group chat. But I stop lossed out twice, and I was up like $210. And that was the really upsetting part. So I was able to write it up, but due to what I was doing in the back end as in answering questions and the whole just like assistance when it comes to the TechBud Solutions, I forgot to set my alerts. And that's why setting alerts are so important, because I was not alerted that it went above 1720. Therefore, when I was answering all these questions, my plan was to sell at 1740 as I knew that was a resistance, and it hit 1739. And once it started seeing a downward trend, and it was at like 1720, I was like, okay, I have my limit order at, I think it was like 1735. And I told the team that, my limit order is set, and it never ended up hitting highs of 1735. I put my stop loss at 1720, and it did not even get filled because of, or I was about to put my stop loss at 1720, and I saw that it went below 1720. So I was waiting for a bounce, hoping that it would bounce at 17, and just continued to see a downward trend. Then when it went below the actual purchase price, I cut my losses there. I tried to buy in back again, and again, it started seeing a downward trend, so I cut my losses, and then I saw it actually bounce above 1640. So all I'm saying is, when it comes to JNUG and JDST, there's these very low and high points of these stocks, at least within the past 2 days. What I mean by that is that JDST, from the low points, realistically, based on yesterday's support and during aftermarket hours as well, the low points are about $68 and the high points are about 71. Realistically, that is where it tends to peak out at. Yes, it does go higher before, or it does tend to maybe break above that resistance, but not much. Therefore, based on the previous trends, this is the support, this is the resistance. There's this margin of profit about 4.42%, and I'm guessing that would be for both companies, for both ETFs. But it comes down to, again, still sticking to the basics of identifying the support, identifying the resistance, waiting for the bounce, and then setting up a plan on how you're going to manage your risk. So that's why I've been trading JNUG. I feel like it's been very easy to understand where the supports are at. I just did a very poor job yesterday of executing my trades and following up with them, just because I was so busy with the back end of what it is that I do with TechBud. So that's my area of improvement. It looks like we just bounced at 1660, which, if you guys could see, that was an old resistance. I saw a lot of people actually talking about CERU just because of the huge gap that it had yesterday. So I don't know if you guys saw this one. This is one that we were like talking about yesterday. Holy moly. It looks like it might be gapping up to, it's trying to gap back up to 150. It hit new highs of 150 during pre-market hours. So that would be most likely, let's see, 20% margin for profit. So it has a resistance based on its previous lows of 150. And it had a support based on the previous resistance at $1. So it did go below $1 right when the market opened. So I'm guessing a lot of people probably stop lost out. But it's starting to show signs of upward momentum now. It's at 115 and it has a resistance there. So overall support, there's just a lot of risk that comes to play when it's such a low cap stock. I apologize for cutting it short. I actually don't think that this is going to be the actual bounce for JNUG. I realistically think it's going to go back down to, based on what it's been doing, it does like these little like false supports. I'm actually going to wait a little bit to see if it actually gets down to 1650, if not to 1640. So I'm going to wait for the bounce down here. But if it breaks above 1690, then I can make the decision to jump on in and just to try to squeeze in a little bit more profit. So like you guys saw, it actually just broke that support of 1660, and it does that a lot. It builds like little supports, it bounces up, and then it just continues to go down. Because again, JDST is pretty much the inverse of it. Therefore, although it, does have potential to continue squeezing on up, it most likely, I actually think JDST will most likely hit about $72. So I think it has $1 more for profit, but it's a $72 stock, so it's about 1.34%. Oh, congrats, Zach. Congrats, Tactical Taco 8. That's a pretty mean username. Do you invest long-term also? This by Henry Martinez. I don't invest long-term when it comes to like stocks and what I have in positions. But when it comes to investing long-term, I invest more in real estate. So I have a couple of properties. So that's my investment long-term. But when it comes to like, do I like swing trade or anything like that? Not really. Where's your hat? That's what I'm asking. I couldn't find it this morning. Thank you for noticing. All right, and I'm gonna set my alerts just so while I'm talking, I can go on this little rant. So if you guys don't mind, all right, below, I wanna know what it breaks above this. Let's just follow up with the stocks that we're analyzing. So CYTX. So it did hit that resistance. It's now showing signs of downward, a downward momentum. I'm going to wait till it gets a little bit closer to $1, and I'm going to set my alerts. We'll do a follow-up with CYTX, see if we could actually catch it at the bounce or if it holds above $1 again. Because again, guys, it hasn't just done it once. It's done it numerous times where it bounces here, hits here, comes back down, and bounces back up. So it does have that potential, but it comes down to setting up a plan, identifying the potential, and sticking to it. So I think that's something that we can do very, very good. Then it comes down to you guys. You guys are amazing in finding, great new stocks. And in the TechBud Solutions group chat, you guys are just always like, it's probably been, the most volume that I've seen within our group chats. And the thing that I love most is that you guys have been very supportive when it comes down to actually assisting and helping one another, meaning that you guys aren't just talking about what you guys are trading, which a lot of people do in every other brokerage or every other platform that comes down to networking, as in like stock twits or whatever group chats I've seen. But something that I like so much about our group chats is that, if someone has a specific question, or especially if they're starting out and they're kind of just asking, why did you buy at a certain price point? Why did you sell here? You guys have actual data on, why it is that you bought. And that's one of the most important things, is that you guys should never invest in what you guys don't understand. Never trade a penny stock that, is based on someone else's opinion, and to always have a plan when you're trading. So I can't stress that enough, that third one, and how important that is. Because we get so many people that sometimes jump into a stock that, hope that it goes up, and it never actually does because they didn't really understand the risk. So the best way to be successful in anything is to be able to manage your risk. And the only way that you can do that is if you have a plan, the enter, the exit, and then a stop loss, where you're buying, where you're selling, and then where you could cut your losses if it doesn't work out according to your plan. So overall, I want to thank you guys again so much for watching. If you guys haven't done so already, I did make a video yesterday that was, I think, pretty useful or pretty helpful, and it's within our YouTube channel. So it's this one right here. It's how to invest money for beginners, and I think that's probably going to be one of the most useful videos. It kind of just opens your mind on how is it that we make or how I make just an easy, I think, like 30K a year, and it's just a super easy concept. It's about like the buying and reselling of certain products, and it's something that I've been doing as a hobby. So I just wanted to share it with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy that video. But other than that, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I am going. I'm gonna have to cut the live stream short. I'm probably not gonna be trading too much. I'm focusing, and I'm gonna focus on JNUG and AMD, but I'm not gonna be trading too much. I have a couple things that I have to do. And I sold my bike like 2 days ago, and I think I'm buying 2 more bikes today. So I'll follow up with you guys on that. But if you guys aren't a part of techbud Solutions already, then feel free to click on the link down below. We're a little bit over 28,500 members now worldwide. So it's an amazing community. I can't thank you guys enough for everything that it is that you guys do. So hope you guys have an amazing day. Hope you guys, continue sharing what it is that you guys are doing and continue asking questions, because that's what we're here for. And just continue making that money. So hope you guys have an amazing day. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, guys.